And school went on probation. Coach resigned, signed to a coach that I didn't even meet.
Went on academic probation?
Yeah, academic probation.
Whoops.
And it kind of hit the news, and then bankruptcy was kind of in the talk too.
No way.
Connor McCaleb's.
Connor McCaleb.
Connor McCaleb, a Rawlings Tigers alum and pitcher whose college baseball path is anything but ordinary.
Connor's journey takes us from a rocky freshman year at Christian Brothers University, where academic probation and coaching chaos forced a hard pivot,
to a gritty reboot at Mineral Area Junior College, and finally to earning a Division I scholarship at Eastern Michigan University.
Really, JuCo, I think, is the next step to going D1.
Why do you say that?
I say that because
In this interview, he unpacks how he battled adversity, dominated the JuCo showcase circuit to catch Eastern Michigan's eye, and split from his twin brother Carson to forge his own path, all while eyeing a future in Detroit's automotive world.
What's your baseball career like?
pretty good. You mean to start at the beginning and
This is the Connor McCaleb story, and this is a Rawlings Tigers podcast.
are we
You ever
doing?
listened to a podcast before?
Yes, I have.
What's your favorite podcast?
I like the Joe Rogan podcast.
Okay.
I listen to that type of stuff when I drive too. And Sword and Scale. Have you heard that when you drive?
No.
It's like murder mystery stuff.
Oh, you're a murder guy.
Really interesting. Watching Dateline and stuff like that too. I really like. Just
I'd rather not
Gets
know
me
about all that
interested.
stuff. It freaks me out.
I mean, I can get into it. Like one of my favorite podcast like series was called Serial. I only like the season 1, and it's about this kid who was in high school who had a girlfriend, and then his girlfriend ended up getting murdered, and he was tried for that murder, and he was found guilty, but he wasn't It's still unknown if he was guilty or not. So they think that he was wrongly accused.
that's how a lot of the Sword and Scale go too. It's just detectives figuring it out and talking about the stories and stuff.
That's insane. So besides like serial killing and all that, what's your baseball career like?
Pretty good. You mean to start at the beginning and kind
let's
of work
start
my
when
way
you
forward?
first picked up a baseball and move forward from there. No, let's. So guys, this is Connor McCaleb. He played for Dave and I in 2021 or 22.
Yes, 21.
17?
That was our last year coaching together.
Yeah.
So 21, because this will be our third. No.
Yeah.
21 or 22?
I think it was my junior year.
Right. So yeah, that'd be 4 years ago.
Yeah, 21.
And you end up going to Christian Brothers, right?
Freshman year of college, went to Christian Brothers.
Yep. And then now you're at Miller area.
Yep, in Park Hills.
Which
And
Christian
then-
Brothers is a Division II school in Memphis, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
And you're going to
Eastern Michigan next year. Eastern Michigan University.
talk about your process going through that and what led you to Eastern.
Yeah, so freshman year of college, went in with high expectations. The coaches really put it higher than it was. When I got there, we only had one coach. The coach I signed to resigned before I got there. So we had one coach the whole fall. And then the whole fall was pretty rough. We were running, 2+ miles a day. It was pretty bad for pitchers because we had to stay around and linger around when we weren't really needed, And school went on probation. I don't know if I just said that or not, but school went on probation. So the classes we were taking were not really up to par for the major that we were in.
Oh, the school went on academic probation?
Yeah, academic probation. So, yeah. And then coach resigned, signed to a coach that I didn't even meet. I've never met him before. And then going into the spring, he hired a pitching coach that graduated from Eastern Michigan and got signed out of Eastern Michigan to go play for the Blue Jays. So he went to go play for the Blue Jays, and then he, after the year, got fired, and their pitching coach that went to Eastern Michigan resigned because he didn't think it was a great spot for him. And I thought, as being the number one pitcher there, that I need to, get out and go somewhere better because I don't want to stick in this. It's pretty gross. Everything is going around, and don't know where that's going to really lead me. So if I want to become a better pitcher, I think it was getting in the transfer portal and going somewhere else. And Carson, my twin brother, we played with baseball with him my whole life. He went on a college visit to Mineral Area his junior year in high school, senior year. But we both decided to go to Christian Brothers just to stay together and go kind of back home where we came from.
Yeah.
So he hit up the coach again. He was like, hey, coach, we need a home for the summer. We're looking to go JuCo. So we signed that summer to go play for Mineral Area this past summer. And after that, that's where I'm at right now, playing fall. I'm blanking right now a little bit.
Fine.
I'm just going fast.
So wait, so my question is like, why did you guys choose Christian? Did it seem like like when you guys chose that school, it was a good fit for you guys at the time? Like, did you know any of this was like the underlying problems were there, or did you just like looking back at it, what was going through your head?
Yeah, so when we got there, we didn't know any of this. It was, I think, second semester when we found out probation hit. We all got an email that we were not supposed to get. Like, the whole school sent it out. And then they sent out, like, regard the last message. This wasn't supposed to be sent to you guys. And it kind of hit the news, and then bankruptcy was kind of in the talk, too. It was just a mess.
Way.
It was like, I need to get out of here.
Well, and you're a freshman in college at that point. It's like you're not even like a seasoned vet at this. Like,
No, it was
So
like,
how
I have
did
no
that-
idea
how
what's
did that-
going on.
So how did that coach actually like convince you guys to come to that school? What was the sales pitch?
I think he's a talker, man. He told us, like, hey, our team's going to be good this year. We're getting guys from certain places. I know our record wasn't great. He was talking about getting new facilities and stuff. It's kind of that pitch that most college coaches have. And we had a pretty strong offer, too. You know, coming out of high school, I didn't have too many offers. I had them. I had Lewis University and a couple of JuCos interested. And I thought at the time, you know, going to a 4-year, going to a D2 would have been my best option. You know, I don't got to worry about recruiting again, going to a JuCo. But if I could go back in time, I would definitely go JuCo out of high school instead of going to D2.
Why do you say that?
I say that because everyone's ultimate goal, if you really love baseball, is to play professional, play D1 baseball. And if you think going to a D2 that you'll play that, it's certainly not that way. And I think your best option is going to a JuCo, and their goal is to get you to the next level too. If you're at a D2, they want you to stay at that school. So if you go to a JuCo, they're going to develop you. They're going to help you with the recruiting and all aspect of your game to get you to the next level. And that's what I realized after this past year is going JuCo is something I wish I did thinking in high school, not just, I'm going to go to a 4-year and settle with that.
Well, it's tough. Like, put yourself back in your high school mindset, right? And it's when you're looking at the whole landscape out there in terms of the different levels, the opportunities. You look at the levels of plays, right? I'm sure that if you think back to when you were a junior and we were coaching you, I mean, most of you guys, for the most part, had D1 on the mindset, right? And that's most high school guys, just to be honest. And like to even bring up junior college at that point and talk, it's not really something that a lot of high school guys are willing to have those conversations yet or even think about. And now, like, that's a whole part of this conversation is to kind of let guys know of the different levels out there and different opportunities. And junior college is certainly a great fit for a lot of guys, and Division II is too. And there's a lot of different opportunities out there. Especially nowadays where kind of everything is a JuCo,
Exactly.
like with the transfer portal.
I also figure like this is just use cases because each person's path is going to be completely different, and then like it's always like what did the end result happen? Did you play or did you not play? And then if you played, like did you have meaningful innings and actually impact the team? So I feel like guys kind of take it as I'm looking at the middle part of their journey rather than like what's the end goal in mind, and then kind of working backwards that way.
Yeah.
Do you think that's very true with like when you're 17, your mindset is like, I just want to make sure that I have the D1 brand on my name?
Yeah, I would say so. I thought like going D2 out of high school, I'd have been like, okay, that's a step closer to going D1. That'd be easier that way. But really JuCo, I think, is the next step to going D1 after realizing that, hey, if you're at a D2, again, they're trying to keep you there for all 4 years, and that transferring out might be more difficult to go to a D1, especially if you didn't perform. If you didn't perform at your D2 and didn't put up the numbers, it's going to be so much harder to go D1 after that. So you kind of have to bounce back and go JuCo for a year, put up numbers, get stronger, develop, and then go D1.
Well, I think like you and your brother actually were in a very unique situation. I mean, take all the stuff that was going on in the school aside. I mean, most 18, 19-year-old kids going into a 4-year of any status, it's exponentially harder to find the field their freshman year just because you're competing against 22 and 23-year-olds for time, right?
Yeah.
And you guys both actually, because most guys who go D2 and bounce back to JuCo are guys who never saw the field.
Yeah.
You guys both played significant innings there, which is awesome. You got to experience that and play against those other D2 teams and that type of level of baseball. I think that's going to serve you extremely well going in your path moving forward. But was that a factor of a decision to go back to JuCo, even though you were a contributor and a significant guy?
Well, again, it was like I started off being a reliever there and kind of having to earn my innings.
Sure.
And then I quickly did. There's some kids on Christian Brothers. I'm like, how are these guys playing D2 baseball? Like, it's kind of pathetic. Throwing 70 miles an hour from the mound at 100%. And I go in there, I was throwing like 84 to 88 at the time and earning the starting role. And then ultimately I'm like, I've kind of plateaued. I was hitting 88 and I couldn't get stronger really the whole year. And then after the probation, I was still a freshman in college this year until semester because my grades didn't transfer over to my JuCo because of the probation. So I thought, transferring out and going JuCo is the better idea. I did play a significant amount of innings, but
sure.
I just don't think it was worth my time. If I wanted to get better as a pitcher, it was leaving that school to go get better with, JuCo. And
So what was the biggest difference you noticed when you stepped into the fall in the mineral area?
work ethic, for sure. 100%. Kids in the weight room at Christian Brothers were just kind of screwing around and didn't really care. They're just using the name of, I'm a college baseball player, rather than, wanting to become the best college baseball player. When you go JuCo, it's a lot of the kids are either high school kids that just kind of want to play baseball, but the main majority is kids who want to get after it and get to the next level, which I tend to thrive around. Which I like.
the incentives align.
100%.
Well,
Like your incentives in Division II baseball is like, let's get to North Carolina for the World Series. But if you're in a position where you're not have the talent to get there, it ends up becoming like a stall. You're stalling.
Yeah, it's kind of like a waste of time.
Yeah, it's a totally different. I mean, we're both JuCo guys, and then went on to 4 years, and it's a totally. I remember my time as a junior college player totally different than I did at my 4-year because I felt like, once you kind of weed out the roster, because there's a lot of movement at JuCo. Yeah. I mean, you have a big fall roster, and then you kind of limit down to your spring, and guys go in different directions. But once you kind of get to that spring year, you got a bunch of dudes who are just hungry. Like,
exactly.
We'll play in 30-degree weather. We don't care. We'll go anywhere. We don't care. We'll play on whatever field. We don't care. Just we need to go play, and we're hungry, and it's a different edge to the game
100%
than what you'll see at the other levels too.
So you end up deciding to go to Eastern. How did that recruiting process come about? Because it's different. I feel like it's always different in junior college, but go ahead.
So in the fall, we weren't playing really tournament games or series games. They were all showcase games in front of a bunch of colleges. And we were playing at this smaller high school field in Oklahoma. It was like a showcase game against Johnson County. And most of our pitchers this field was small. It was like 300 to center. It was a tiny high school field.
Junior college is always like that. You play on these weird fields, and it's like a patch of grass. You're like, this is where we're playing?
Yep. Giddy up.
Like how I got recruited to Missouri State was we were playing at Fort Scott, and we didn't play on the varsity field because they were getting it renovated. So we played on this back JV freshman field. I didn't know that junior colleges had that. It was just a back field. It was literally a patch of grass that probably cows were like eating and grazing on. And this guy with tethered shirt and shorts comes walking with his like little cooler and his fold-up chair, plops up his fold-up chair, and you're like, well, this is like some dad. No, it was an Indian scout. It was an area Indian scout that drove all the way to Fort Scott, Kansas just to see this game because it was the only game happening during that day. And so he caught it, and I ended up going 0 for 2 with a pop-up, but I ended up running as fast as I could out of the box. I was mad, and I ended up touching second base before the shortstop caught the ball. Wow. Like, that's how I got recruited. Yeah. But, like, it's just so funny. Like, okay, go ahead. You're in a high school field in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So most of our pitchers were going in. It was like 15-mile-an-hour winds, too. Letting up home, like pop-ups to center field were going out. And I went in, struck a couple guys out and let up like a pop fly to third base or something. And Eastern Michigan was there and they saw that. And I remember the next morning, or like the next Monday morning, I was in biology class and I got a follow on Instagram from Eastern Michigan and then a text from them as well saying, let's jump on a phone call. And then I texted him back like, sounds good. Let's hop on a phone call here soon, whatever. And he didn't end up responding for a couple of days, so I thought it was like the end of that. And then the next weekend, I think we were playing at John A. Logan College, and I was pitching there again, did really good. They were at the field, a different coach this time. The pitching coach, Craig Prince, was there. He watched me. I believe he was him there. Maybe it was the head coach was there. Anyways, saw me pitch, did really good against John A. Logan, like ground ball, strikeout type deal, really minimal. And then hopped on a phone call with them like the next day. Really good conversation. They were interested in me to come on a visit, and I was like, yeah, let's set it up for a couple weeks. And then like the next weekend again, I was at Millington, USA Stadium, Millington, I think.
Yeah.
And then recruiting coordinator was there to watch me pitch too. He watched me pitch, did pretty good. I threw the day before at SEMO, or 2 days before at SEMO, and I had a quick turnaround because I wanted to pitch for him. And then I think I let up like one run, but still had like a pretty good outing. Velo was pretty good. And then like the next weekend, we were at home plate in Creekside, and they saw me pitch there again, kind of by Creekside, like the new facility.
So they traveled down 4 times to see you?
Well, they were in the area, but it was 3 different coaches saw me pitch 4 separate times.
Yep.
And then they called me. They're like, let's set up a visit. Went on a visit. They flew me and my dad up there. Watched a football game, Eastern Michigan versus, I forget which school, but they won that football game and gave me a pretty strong offer. Sat on it for about a week and called the coach and told him I think this is the right decision. Beautiful area.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It's in Detroit?
Yeah, like 20 minutes, Ypsilanti.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's something I think a lot of high school kids don't even understand about JuCo is the impact in the fall. Like you go to a 4-year, it's almost all practices, College World Series type stuff.
Yep.
Like, you know, you're doing maybe one game against a neutral opponent, etc. In JuCo, you're now. What I love now is we used to have like 20 game schedules where we just go play the guys, or we go play Lindenwood's JV or something like that. Now they're like heavily floating those fall schedules towards those Grand Park events, towards those John A. Logan events, those where they're bringing in 6, 7, 8 JuCos all at once, and you're playing like round robin games, and it's all for scouting purposes. Where the Division Ones are getting out, and the Division Twos, and all those guys are getting out and watching a ton of JuCo baseball because they know they can get instant impact guys. And you play how many games do you play in the fall?
Probably 8 to 10, maybe more. I can't put an exact number on it.
And you played.
We
I know
played
you guys
2 a
played
day.
SEMO.
Yeah.
So you played Division Ones. Did you play any D2s?
We did not play any D2s.
Okay,
Those
and then
other
everybody
JuCo
else
competitions.
JuCos?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know, like, when I was at S&T, we would always play MAC. We'd play them in, like, a 27-inning, 12-hour day
games,
where I threw the first 2 innings of the day, and I was like, what do I do for the next 10 hours of my life? But, like, you play all the different levels of JuCo in the fall. You play in all those events. You're constantly getting showcased in those environments to find your next home, but you're also playing a ton.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to play 25 games in the fall. You're going to play 60-ish games in the spring. Some of those at-bats, those hitters, they get 300, 400 swings in a year, so think about how much better you get at that.
Yeah.
That's what I think a lot of high school guys don't quite understand, is it's a totally different opportunity than your 4 years.
Yeah, and I think some high schoolers think like, oh, junior college, it's like not the best level of baseball, and that, you know, holding or going to a 4-year holds a higher standard. Like, I'm going to a 4-year out of high school.
Think of that.
Yeah, and I think JuCo really is probably one of the best opportunities if you want to make it to the next level that they just don't quite understand.
Well, I know you've only seen the fall, but like with now the way the transfer portal's working and the way like Division Ones are limiting their roster numbers and everything else like that, how much better has JuCo got? Like, how many guys are bounce back guys at MAC right now that you're playing?
Yeah,
with?
so me and my brother are bounce backs from D2, but one of our best players, Garrison Braley, he played at University of Miami, Ohio last year. Really, really solid dude. He plays left field for us. He's going to hit top 5 in the lineup. He's going to hit probably 14, 15 home runs this year. I don't know exactly, but we have some pitchers that are bounce backs too. It's just JuCo is even becoming like recruiting for bounce backs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the level of JuCo baseball is probably up there with like Division I baseball, like quality and
just the
performance
depth
wise
is a little bit different. But yeah, no, I mean the quality nowadays at junior college is better than it's absolutely ever been. Because it used to be, primarily filled with, high school kids looking to play a little bit more early because they're not going to go fight the 4 years, but you didn't have all the bounce backs and you didn't have all the older guys. Like I think JuCo's gotten older too.
Yeah.
But it's the level of play, like when we're talking to high school kids, like I would urge them to go watch a type of game because how many guys do you have 90 plus on your roster right now?
I want to say like almost our whole roster. It sounds crazy, like our whole pitching roster is at least 88 plus, but most of our guys are 90 plus, probably 10 of the 17 pitchers.
What's like the average physicality of a position guy? Like how big and how strong and how much
probably
they weigh?
6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds.
Yep. They're all big, strong dudes.
Yeah. Filled out, mature. So like D2 baseball versus JuCo baseball, height to size to weight difference is so much bigger and stronger in JuCo baseball than Division II baseball that I've noticed.
In high school, from a training standpoint to now as a junior college training standpoint, what did you have right when you were training in high school and what did you have wrong?
I would say the throwing program, treating my arm correctly. I had correct in high school, maybe not the weight room side. So like my throwing schedule was always, fits me the best. I still use a very similar throwing schedule, like bullpen, recovery, off, stretch toss, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. I was at Ace in Chesterfield. I still go there for my training, and Adam Jansen's really good. Everything's set up correctly. The weight room, I would say I wasn't as aggressive in the weight room as I should have been. So like if I was doing RDLs, for example, I would only do like 135 each time I got up there instead of trying to increasing weight, which this summer and at my last school, I'm like, I need to be better than everybody. I'm going to squat as much as I can, get stronger, and not be afraid to put weight on the bar, which has really helped me in my game, especially velo-wise and becoming a better pitcher as well.
Yeah, I think that is a big misnomer is that guys don't want to get bulky.
Yeah.
But like you're not doing powerlifting to like be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You're building your body up. You're doing the right exercises if you're in a good training program to build yourself for baseball specific movements. So put some weight on that bar and let's roll.
Well, I also think like high school guys, they think they're doing a lot in the weight room, but then you get to college and you kind of realize there was a whole nother level that I could have been doing in the weight room because you get exposed to it. Because you're either exposed by your staff, your coaches there that have a good weight training system up, or you're exposed by the guys who are going to outwork you left and right. And this dude's over here at 7 a.m. every morning with his jug of water and his protein, and he's going in and lifting. And that's just what you do. Yeah. So
what's the best piece of advice that you received in high school about recruiting? And then what's the worst piece of advice that you received?
I don't know about let's start with the worst. I would say, I don't know if I really had that much recruiting advice, but the best recruiting advice is posting on Twitter, I would say. Twitter is huge. Getting your video out there for other coaches to see and having, like one of your coaches like Spiker, reposting that and getting more people to view it is probably one of the biggest things for recruitment. I got so much more attention on Twitter after posting constantly every week after every outing, even if it wasn't what I was looking for, just posting, getting something out there for other people to see. And I really can't really put something to the worst recruiting advice. Maybe saying that a 4-year is better than a JuCo. I don't really know if I heard that, but I feel like that's something that some people say.
It's probably
the perception.
Yeah, it's probably like
it's safer
from your social circles, like talking in the lunchroom with you guys or talking in the dugout. And it's kind of like just an underlying thing, like, oh, I have to go 4-year.
Yeah,
because I felt that pressure when I was.
Everybody did. Yeah. I mean, that's just something that because the visibility is so much more there. People know who Mizzou is and Illinois and Eastern Michigan. They don't know who Mineral Area is. You know what I'm saying? Now that's starting to come to fruition. I think specifically on social media and just in other areas. But I mean, obviously, everybody just goes to what they see.
Yeah.
Talk about growing up as a twin and playing baseball. Like I find that super fascinating because you guys are so close. Is it always a package deal with you guys, or is it kind of like you want to be your own person? of talk that through.
Yeah, so we've always been on the same baseball team ever since we were 6 years old, playing t-ball, playing coach pitch. We've been on the same team. And going to Christian Brothers, it was kind of like it was our only opportunity to be together and play baseball still. So it's kind of like we made that decision to play with each other rather than going into our own separate directions and figuring out our own paths. So we kind of did that and played together, which our chemistry, I feel like, is so good. Like, I know what pitch I'm about to throw, and he knows what pitch he's about to call. So it's perfect. You know, gets to play catch whenever I want. He gets to hit whenever he wants. Whenever I hit too, we were always hitting together and stuff like that. So it's like I have a friend, a brother that wants to get better like I do, and he pushed me more than I wanted to be sometimes, you know. Whenever I was playing baseball when I was still hitting, I didn't want to hit, but he like made me hit sometimes. And, you know, that was really cool to have someone push me. But now, since I've signed to go to Eastern Michigan, he doesn't have that opportunity, and now we're not really a package deal anymore. You know, he has to figure out his own path, and I've figured out mine a little bit, but there's still like a lot more I have to figure out, and I think it's, you know, time to start our own lives separate, which is kind of a bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
But
do you think that's gonna be better for both of you guys?
I think it will be, because I've always kind of relied on him through like school too, like him to tell me like, hey, you got to go sign these papers today.
Yeah.
Hey, you have to go talk to the teacher that you're not going to miss class, or that you are going to miss class because of a sporting event. He's kind of, you know, told me to do those types of things instead of me taking care of it myself, which will be better for me because I'll have to figure those things out and really make sure I have a set schedule and know what I'm doing every day, rather than, you know, relying on him too.
What are you going to major in? I know we talked about this previously, but I want to. One of the big things for me is education is a huge part, and because the reason I'm very heavy on it is because I feel like it's going to the wayside now, just because of the NIL deal and people thinking that they're going to make all this money, and then obviously careers end. Hopefully, you guys make it to Major League Baseball. That'd be freaking awesome. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have 2 plan A's than have 1 plan A. So like talk about what your purpose is and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so Eastern Michigan isn't a powerhouse Division I. They're not a University of Michigan. They're not a Alabama. The NIL money most likely will not be there. So I'll definitely have to figure out something that I'm going to do for a career. And right now it's kind of leaning towards business. I really love cars. I love hands-on, working on cars, making them to my liking and that sort of thing. And going to Detroit is the Motor City of America, which I'm really happy about. Ford started there. And maybe getting the foot in my door somewhere there would be my type of thing. But right now I'm still currently kind of undecided on what I want to do, which I'm a junior or a sophomore in college. I need to make that decision, you know, for next year. So it might be business, but I know some of the guys, some of the pitchers are on like a pit crew for internships in the summer.
That's cool.
In Michigan, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to try and like talk with them and kind of see what I want to do, get my foot in the door somewhere with automotive industry. I went to Christian Brothers thinking I wanted to be an engineer and stuff like that, but I hate math. Hate it. So I'm going to have to try and figure something out. I'm still kind of, you know, thinking what I'm going to do.
That'd be kind of cool if you're on the pits and
That'd be so cool.
You're also a pitcher.
That'd be crazy.
Do you think NASCAR's in your future at all?
You know, I really like driving. If I go somewhere with my friends or anything, I'm the one to drive because I know that I can get from point A to point B safely. Yeah. I just know that I can do that.
I thought you were going to say faster. I was going to be like,
no. I really
Do you follow F1 at all?
Not really. I know my uncle does a lot. He's into it so much. I'm more of like the drag racing type of thing. But anything to get my foot in the door somewhere, I'm gonna try it.
Just like we've talked, man, it's huge business. Both in like the sports automotive industry, but also, I mean, just outside of it. I mean, it's a necessity. Everybody has to drive. Everybody has to do stuff. So even the entrepreneur route of having your own shop or doing stuff like that, I mean, having a business background helps in that for sure.
Yeah, and doing some engineering things might not be as bad because I'm not using formulas like the Pythagorean theorem and stuff like that. I'm just figuring out how big this part needs to be and designing it to fit here with all this other stuff around it. That type of math, which I tend to like.
You like puzzles.
Exactly. I love that type of stuff, but I don't love just sitting down doing math problems. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, see a practicality to it.
So last question, if you could give, it's the token question of all time. If you could go back and you could see Connor at 17U, what would be your piece of advice?
Go JuCo, 100%. Just because I know I wanted to be a good pitcher. I wanted to get stronger, and also lifting too. You got to not be afraid to put some weight on the bar and injure yourself. You're not going to injure yourself if you know your limits. If you know you can only squat 335, don't put 365 on the bar and hurt yourself. Push your limits safely, but also I think going junior college and developing and doing those type of workouts and getting stronger, putting on muscle mass to get you to the next level that you wanted to be at in high school. If you wanted to play D1 baseball, going D2 is just going to set you back and stall you, like you were saying. So if I were to tell myself, in the past, Connor, you need to go play junior college baseball for 2 years, develop, get stronger, and then see where that takes you.
Would you tell yourself to stay with Carson, or would you tell yourself to find your own path?
Probably find my own path. I really think so, because he's a catcher and hitter, and I'm a pitcher. And then one college is going to be more suited for me that I need to take, and one college is going to be better suited for him. So it's not really, I think if we want to both get better, it's, kind of finding what's going to work best for us.
Sure. Yeah. You guys are twins, but you're also two different people.
Yep.
That's so hard to wrap your head around, but it's true. So I appreciate you coming on and talking your
Yeah, thanks you guys for having me.
You got it, brother.
This was a Rawlings Tigers podcast episode. Please subscribe on your platform of choice. You can watch every new episode on our YouTube and Spotify channel by subscribing. Thank you, and we look forward to posting our next video.